Question number 4, Chris Hipkins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Education. Will the exam papers completed by students sitting cancelled scholarship exams on Monday be marked as NZQA advised on Twitter? If so, how will those results be fairly compared with students who will have to sit a different exam at a later date?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Education, I am advised that as per the Minister's answer in the House yesterday, she is awaiting advice on how this technical process will work. I understand this advice is imminent, but I can advise that firstly, NZQA will use a common marking schedule across both exams, and secondly, every year a benchmarking process is used to ensure that exams are equivalent to previous years.
Question.
Supplementary question, Chris Hipkins.
Why is she willing to give students sitting scholarship? Why is she willing to have students sitting scholarship exams sit different tests on different days for the same subjects, but won't allow those students whose NCEA exams were disrupted by earthquakes the same opportunity?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Minister, scholarship exams are different because they are not covered by the emergency derived grade process. 2,316 students were due to sit the scholarship exams, and 585 of those were in affected regions and would have been unable to secure a scholarship grade had the exam gone ahead. NZQA are preparing a comparable exam for students who were not able to undertake the scholarship history exam. Arrangements are expected to be finalised and advised to schools by the end of today.
Good question, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary question, Chris Hipkins.
If it's possible to mark different scholarship exam papers for the same subject using a common marking schedule, as NZQA have claimed and the Minister has claimed in her answer, why isn't it possible to do the same for NCEA exams?
The Honourable Anne Tolley. Oh, Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Minister, I thought I had just answered that. Scholarship exams are different in that there is no derived marking process. So if you don't sit the exam, you have no opportunity to get a scholarship.
Supplementary question, Mr.
Supplementary question, Chris Hipkins.
Does she accept that a magnitude 7.5 earthquake the night before an exam, students being evacuated from their homes due to a tsunami warning, followed by rolling aftershocks during the exam, can have an impact on those students' ability to demonstrate their true abilities in that exam?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
On behalf of the Minister, there is an established process for dealing with such incidences as those. This policy is in place to ensure that students are not disadvantaged. An emergency-derived grade process applies where an event occurs that affects a significant number of students which is beyond their control. The school liaises with the affected students and applies to NZQA on their behalf and for an emergency-derived grade. Derived grades are based on standard specific evidence as defined by NZQA rules and guidelines, and students can achieve merit and excellence through this process and have done so.
Question, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary question, Chris Hipkins.
Will those students who went ahead and sat their NCEA exams still be able to apply for an emergency-derived grade?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Minister, I don't have that information and I'm not prepared to discuss on a hypothetical basis.
Supplementary
question, Chris Hipkins.
Will she now ensure that all students that sat NCEA exams on Monday this week and feel that they were disadvantaged by lack of sleep, worry about their friends or relatives, aftershocks during the exams, that those students or who were unable to sit their exams because the examination venue was closed will have the opportunity to sit or resit as soon as possible after the currently scheduled exams conclude? If not, why not?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Minister, I think there's two different things. On the first point, I am unable on behalf of the Minister to make that commitment. That would be wrong. And on the second, there is a process where those students can apply for that derived grade process, and the scholarship exam was cancelled because there isn't a derived grade process.
Question